move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Richard Halsey from the Energy Systems Catapult. Richard is a director of the Energy Systems Catapult, established and overseen by Innovate UK to stimulate innovation and transformational change across the energy system. Richard joined the Catapult in 2015, having previously worked for over a decade at White Young Green, Turley and Babcock Engineering, and specialising in energy system transformation, innovation, planning, and sustainable development. He has led a diverse range of projects and programmes in partnership with government, industry, and academia, including the Catapult's delivery of the first phase of the Smart Systems and Heat programme. Richard will address us on the role of hydrogen in a net zero energy systems and the potential for hybrid heating solutions in existing homes. Richard, over to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Paul, and good morning, everybody. Hopefully, let's check the slides are working. As Paul says, I'm going to take you a little bit of a perspective on how the Catapult sees the role of hydrogen in a future net zero energy system, and building on what was just presented, a little bit of view on how hybrid heating systems might provide a mechanism of decarbonising our existing homes, and specifically space heating and hot water in our existing homes. So just a bit of context in terms of what a Catapult is. So a Catapult is a network of innovation centres across the UK designed to address the market failures and realise the opportunities for innovation in key areas. The Energy Systems Catapult is one of that network of 9 different catapults across the UK. Specifically, the Energy Systems Catapult is established to realise the opportunities and open up new markets that capture the opportunities from clean growth. We have around 200 innovation experts located in the Midlands, but as many people are now working, the majority of people working from home. And we have a range of programs and activities working collaboratively with industry and university, looking at accelerating the transformation of energy systems, both in the UK and internationally. We have a particular focus on the issues of systems integration and engineering, as well as the application of digital technologies and advances in modelling and simulation to try and help us navigate the journey to net zero. So I think Paul kind of gave me a bit of an introduction, but as Paul outlined, I head a team of over 100 engineers, planners, data and social scientists. I've had about 15 years working in clean tech and energy innovation. Previously led the Energy Technology Institute's Smart Systems and Heat programme, and also had the current BEIS electrification of heat demonstration project looking at the decarbonisation of existing homes through deployment of heat pumps in the UK. I'm also a member of BEIS's Hydrogen Advisory Council and head a number of innovation projects looking at the integration of hydrogen as part of more integrated, smarter local energy systems. One of the key kind of aspects, perspectives that the Catapult has is the need for us to take more sophisticated whole systems approaches to thinking about decarbonisation and the integration of new energy vectors such as hydrogen. And that means thinking holistically about where we generate our energy from, but also then how we transmit it, distribute it and consume it, how the interrelationships between different energy vectors such as electricity, heat, gas, transport work together, and also then the physical, digital, market policy and environment considerations and wrapper that sits around those and makes them all work kind of collectively together. And we see that taking that sort of more holistic whole systems approach is going to be key if we're going to achieve and deliver net zero energy systems across the world that are going to work for businesses, communities and consumers and people. So just a bit of a perspective on hydrogen in a net zero energy system. So the Catapult's whole energy system modelling environment is used to explore potential different scenarios for decarbonisation of our energy system. And most recently, our work on innovating to net zero explored what that might mean in terms of the transformation of the energy system as a whole, And one of the key things that found was the significant role for hydrogen in addressing some of those hard to decarbonise area that was outlined previously in Neil's presentation, and that we could see the need for the hydrogen economy to grow to as much as 300 terawatt hours by 2050. Now, in broad terms, that's equivalent to the size of our power sector today in the UK, which is a significant kind of increase in scale in a very, very rapid kind of period of time. But also, in parallel with that, the need to increase the size of our electricity system, the integration of more renewables and storage assets, and potentially equally in the UK, the increase in heat distribution infrastructure as well. So some real challenges, but also some real opportunities, and a particularly important role we see for hydrogen. Now, particularly in terms of buildings and heating, we found that hydrogen potentially had a very important role to play in that whole system context, particularly around addressing the issues of peak heating demand, which I think, again, Neil outlined in his slides before. And actually, hybrid heating solutions could play quite an interesting and valuable role in transitioning off our existing natural gas heating system onto a combination of electric and molecule natural gas, but ultimately potentially hydrogen kind of heating systems in the future. That's not to say that potentially there isn't a more sophisticated combination of different solutions that are going to be needed in relation to different areas and different places. And there's an important consideration of how infrastructure relates to different demand solutions in homes and buildings over time. And the work of the Catapult, using its energy system modelling environment, found a number of innovation priorities that were really important for the UK to explore around decarbonising heat. That included the role of whole house retrofits, the importance of smart multi-zone controls for homes as an enabler to a range of low carbon heating technologies, the role of hybrid heating and boiler and the potential for demonstration of that as part of smarter, more sophisticated integrated solutions, including a potential transition to hydrogen, the role of heat storage in homes and different forms of heat, thermal storage, and then finally the importance of 100% hydrogen networks and being able to demonstrate those, that they are an option, to provide kind of energy to homes in the future. One of the kind of key aspects of that is kind of then understanding what infrastructure might look like in different places. The Catapult has been working quite closely with a number of different organisations, exploring how we might use data and information to better understand what kind of infrastructure solutions might be best suited in different places. A lot of our research has found that the configuration of a different mix of infrastructure, or a more complicated and integrated mix of infrastructure, is likely to deliver the most cost-effective transition to net zero in the UK. So being able to use data and information to think about where we might maintain and repurpose existing gas infrastructure, but also where we might build complementary or replacement heat kind of network infrastructure, where we might build bigger power distribution networks to be able to support direct electric heat pumps and heat pumps as a solution for heating. So thinking about those solutions and the infrastructure that's needed to support them in a kind of more integrated and sophisticated way, we see as a key part to achieving the transition. But also then, once you've kind of looked at that infrastructure at a regional or municipal level, understanding how you then specifically develop solutions within local areas, and how you use data and information to target the deployment of particular technologies, we see as a key part to achieving transition and achieving kind of both consumer and community awareness, but also consumer and community appeal of new low carbon heating solutions. So we've been working collaboratively in developing the concept of a more sophisticated whole system approach to local area energy planning, where data and information is used in different local areas to build an understanding of the constraints and opportunities to decarbonisation, and that in turn is used to target particular solutions that might be best suited to individual areas and individual households within individual areas. We piloted that with a number of different local areas and are engaged in a number of activities at the moment, thinking about how that might then be kind of rolled out more widely to support decarbonisation, but also then how the data and intelligence is used to inform the specific targeting and delivery of consumer propositions for low carbon heating in particular areas, in particular hybrid heating solutions. We found that within the particular areas that we were looking at, that certain homes and certain areas were more suited to hybrid solutions as a result of the geography, of the housing stock, of the nature of the heating demands of the individual homes and households, and that being able to use that to plan a transition pathway for those areas, potentially very valuable and important to ensure that we deliver the right solutions in the right places at the right time. And finally, just what we've also been doing in parallel with that is building an understanding of how your consumers might better understand and engage with different low carbon heating solutions. And the Catapult has developed a living lab of connected kind of homes and households across the UK that we've been using to explore how we might transition homes from natural gas boilers onto low and ultimately zero carbon alternatives. And what we've done is been able to kind of take the data and information about homes and their households to build a kind of much richer understanding of how they're using heating at home, but not just technically how they're using heating at home, also the value that they see from heating and hot water in the home, and the things that they feel are issues that might be addressed through low carbon, possibly zero carbon solutions, and how we might deliver better, more comfortable outcomes for people. So over the last 3 winters, we've worked with a number of kind of other stakeholders to explore how hybrid heating solutions might provide this transitional journey for people to move off natural gas, how that then might enable the optimization of those systems across gas and electricity networks, and also now increasingly started to think about what that might mean in terms of repurposing that gas supply for hydrogen, but also potentially how might you be able to control that hybrid heating solution to have a range of different options in terms of meeting peak heat demands through advances in thermal storage. And as a key step, one of the key aspects to this is understanding actually the things that consumers in their homes and households value, how they might perceive different technology solutions, but also the things that they are willing to pay for, the things that they are accepting of, the levels of disruption and the perception and attitudes to different technologies in the home. So it provides us a valuable platform to be able to undertake a range of kind of R&D and innovation trials collaboratively and access a range of data to feed back and inform that kind of wider strategic understanding of the potential role for hydrogen in decarbonising our heating. And I think that's it from me, and handing back over to Paul.
Hold on, Richard. No such thing as a free lunch. And I have to thank our audience. There's some fantastic questions coming in, and as we said, good to see the questions because the audience then engages with the speakers and allows the speaker then to re-engage, because it has to be a two-way process within our webinars where it's an information flow. Our first question for you, Richard, is from Morris Scully. Is hydrogen blending a pathway to full hydrogen use of the transmission and distribution networks of the future? And if so, what role for CCS in the hybrid heating solutions?
Yeah, I think hydrogen blending is obviously a potentially important pathway to improve, to enable us to understand the ability to have or create the market for hydrogen. It provides a mechanism for increasing demand. In terms of delivering a net zero energy system, it's difficult to see how solely just blending will give us what we need. It looks like we need 100% hydrogen and be able to work towards 100% hydrogen to deliver kind of net zero outcomes in 2050. The role of carbon capture and storage, certainly in relation to blue hydrogen, very, very important if blue hydrogen is going to play a major role kind of in a net zero energy system, which will require us to achieve very, very high carbon capture rates. So one of the key innovation priorities that we identified for blue hydrogen to play a significant role was in ensuring that we could deliver those high carbon capture rates at scale. But certainly, I think from a Catapult perspective, we see a combination of blue and green hydrogen being likely to create the market at scale that we need. and ultimately in combination with CCS, if blue hydrogen is going to play a longer-term role 2050 and beyond.
Thank you. A question from Garrett O'Sullivan. Richard, do you see hydrogen replacing natural gas grid, or will we move domestic heating to direct electric heat pumps as electricity is available to all houses and the gas grid is not?
I think it's a really good question, a very topical question. I think at the moment there's a high degree of uncertainty around what's the right route, in many geographies globally. I think Neil's presentation alluded to the challenge that hydrogen is obviously a very an expensive commodity as it stands now, and obviously there's endeavour to try and reduce that cost, but it's difficult to see in the near term a world where hydrogen is a very, very cheap kind of commodity. So I think we see a combination of different technologies as likely to be the most effective route to decarbonise space heating at home, which, you know, again is why the potential interest in hybrid heating systems. I think it's highly likely that different solutions are going to be better suited to different areas, different combinations of infrastructure, which is why we feel that developing local area energy planning as a mechanism for thinking about what really works in different places. How do you use the established and invested infrastructure? What are the measures that represent the most cost-effective kind of way forward is really important to develop those slightly more sophisticated integrated energy system solutions, which is certainly what we think will be key to decarbonising effectively and minimising the cost.
Part of our challenge in overcoming our dependence on fossil fuels is fossil fuels answered a lot of problems in one solution. Whereas as we look to address our CO2 footprint, Richard, you referred to it, I referred to it, Reinhard and Neil referred to it, and I'm sure Mark referred to his. It's a hybrid solution we require. So it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all, and it's finding the right balance, as you said there, especially in your research, what part of the country requires the right balance. But how much of that is going to be people's acceptance of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think people's, and I almost view it as people's desire as well as acceptance. I think, you know, quite often what we see in big transformational changes, the things that people value and that they want and makes their life easier, makes things quicker, makes things cheaper, are the things that you know, we see people pull for. So obviously the solutions that minimize disruption or have a degree of consumer appeal, you can see having a kind of key role. I think one of the things that certainly we at the Catapult feel is really important is we need to kind of effectively engage people with new products, new services, new solutions that they can really start to understand and get a feel for. I would argue that the next phase of decarbonisation that we're going through is going to get into people's faces and into their lives a lot more, and that we really need to start doing that from a research and innovation perspective, you know, really soon, to try and make sure that we really get an understanding of the things that people value, the things that they want, and that we take people through the journey with us. One of the key aspects of our kind of living lab environment that we've been developing is thinking about how do you develop a customer journey for decarbonisation? How do you actually create a cycle that people can kind of go through, that they actually want to get on that journey, and there are aspects to it that they really kind of actually quite engage with and they pull through. So I certainly think it's a really important part of kind of thinking about some of this stuff more.
Another question from Garrett, and some fantastic questions coming in from the audience. I'd like to keep them coming, please, if you can. Richard, do you see 100% hydrogen replacing methane in the natural gas grid rather than electric heat pumps replacing domestic boilers?
At this stage, I think I still believe there's quite a lot of uncertainty in that, and I think we've got some yards to go to figure out what the right solution really is. I think it probably comes back to the point I was making earlier, that I think we could well see a combination of different solutions. We could see areas where 100% hydrogen networks, you know, either on their own or in combination with kind of hybrid heating systems using the electricity distribution network, are part of space heating solutions for some areas. We could see areas where the kind of complete electrification of kind of heating and hot water for homes is a more effective and desirable solution. We could see situations where district heating fed by a combination of hydrogen or electric, or just by hydrogen, is an option. So I think we can see a kind of combination of those different solutions coming about. I think you could potentially start to see solutions clustering around things like areas of industrial demand, as well as kind of domestic and building demand. So you could almost see a clustering of kind of infrastructure solutions. One of the things I think I certainly feel quite passionately about is making sure that we deliver infrastructure that is 21st century infrastructure and not 20th century infrastructure, and is able to effectively work together. So rather than viewing kind of pipes and wires as kind of individual things, that they are part of an integrated system, and we're able to optimize across those energy vectors, and get the most effective carbon reduction, but also get the best outcome for consumers, I think.
Richard, your presentation has been fantastic. It's been very informative, and it's got a lot of feedback. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to take all of the questions now. We may get to some at the end. So, folks, keep your questions coming in. But there's one comment there from Pádraig O'Hara in Louth County Council. Louth are one of the associate partners in GenCom, and this captures the essence of why we're carrying out these webinars. Pádraig says the hybrid trials are really useful to assist homeowners in understanding the opportunities from hybrid heating. He believes that in his council they could offer homes in County Louth for trials if they were to be of interest in the project, and in return it would certainly help promote the project in County Louth. So it's that flow of information, that's what the webinars are about, for us to help shape research and development and deployment, but based on reality, based on what's needed. So Pádraig, thank you for that. Folks, keep your questions coming in. As I said, we'll get them at the end. If we don't get to them all, we will send the presenters the questions, then we can answer them and give you the feedback through the GenCom website. Richard, many thanks for an excellent presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.